What's up, my good people of the internets? We are back here. Apparently, see, I wanted to give you the ambiance. I wanted to go outside. I'm wearing a tank top. I just went from -5-degree weather to being able to wear a jersey and sit out on the patio with the sun behind me because I'm on a nice vacation here, enjoying life. And your boy doesn't take vacations that much, so it's a good thing to be able to come and relax and have a good time. And when the phone is in direct sunlight, these beautiful iPhones, they like to overheat and block things. So it was a little defense mechanism, but it ended up jumping in here and affecting the show. So I appreciate you being here, appreciate you hanging out with us, and we're going to get back at it where sports meets life here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the show as we get set to have a conversation about the upcoming title game here where sports meets that thing called life. So very much looking forward to it. Happy to have you here watching and hanging out on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So thanks for being here with us and for having some fun with us as we get set for the big game. So as you know, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I've been on the road and enjoying my time and trying to take some time. So in doing that, we've had specials for you all week. The Brian and Stratton special did incredible thanks to you. So our first ever Bobcat Buzz was featured, and we got to feature on the video for the Bobcat Buzz. We got to feature Nick Dmitrievsky, the AD and men's soccer head coach and multi-time national champion. And then we got to also feature on the same video, Alex Gregorita, the assistant AD and the women's soccer head coach who just came off of his national championship in 2021. Feature Dan Frisina, the men's basketball head coach, and Clay Gagan-Sherman, the women's basketball head coach, as well as Sean Peak, the baseball head coach of the new program getting started at Brian and Stratton. So we got to showcase all of those gentlemen on one broadcast this past Monday. You can go watch it on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So a lot of great stuff there. And we've had the opportunity to share with you Ren Baker. I got to spend ample time with the VP and Director of Athletics at the University of North Texas to get his thoughts on the move to the American Athletic Conference, why he thinks it's right, what value he sees in North Texas, why he came to North Texas, his history, his connection, and what North Texas brings to the table, including their recent NCAA tournament win in March Madness. So a lot of great stuff with that. Definitely want to go listen to that on all of our channels: Podbean, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and so much more. iTunes and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you do that. And it's on YouTube as well. So with that being said, a bunch of the specials we've had on Wake Up Call for Tortora, we appreciate you watching and listening. So even though I'm out of town this week, we've still had the opportunity to give you a bunch of great stuff. So very excited. Mike's back here with us. Mike, I realized something. Even when you're on a patio with an overhang, the sun, when it's in the state of Florida, is so strong that it came in and said, your phone. So like that's where I'm at right now.
Welcome to the Sunshine State.
So we're here with Mike Sofka. We're hanging out where sports meets that thing called life. And I was just telling you all that the Ren Baker special, the Sarah Hunter special, Beeville Bees turned into Lemoyne Dolphins. She's got one more season with Beeville, and then she's heading off to Lemoyne as Lemoyne continues to recruit locally. And Recruit CNY is a hashtag I use all the time, so make sure you support that. So big shout out to Sarah Hunter. You can go watch that video back. You can also watch our special Dolphin Dive bonus video of the Lemoyne Dolphins with alum Paul Galvin, who's given back to the community as an entrepreneur, coming back into the Central New York community to do something special. And you can hear his story about that, including his love for the Big East and being a student athlete in basketball himself. So a lot of great stuff has come up this week. Mike is here with me now. So even though I'm on vacation, even though I'm here doing Dan on Disney and I'm relaxing and having a great time, I have set you all up to have audio and video specials, new content, on top of the 1,500 other episodes and thousands of videos on YouTube. I've given you new content and will continue to give you new content all throughout the week. So even though I may not be in familiar digs, you're still getting exclusive new material, because that's what we do here, Mike.
It's like I've told the lovely Lisa many times, always working. Kind of like that new Troy Polamalu commercial, if you haven't seen that. He's always working, always working. That's what we do. That's what we are. This is it. Always working.
Troy Lama. So, but yeah, no, I'm very happy to be able to be in the Sunshine State, my second home of Wake Up Call. I thank you all for being here. And like I was going to address before, and I want to make sure that I address it now, now that we have the time really quick here. Inside of this is obviously you're inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour every single Wednesday, proudly brought to you typically between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. in our normal scheduled time, Eastern time, and that is from the Wildcat Sports Pub exclusively, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Eat there 7 days a week, and you can do takeout and delivery. So if you're watching the big game from home, don't let that stop you from getting the Wildcat wings, their awesome fried dough, and all the great stuff that they have, chicken Caesar wraps, their pizzas, their ziti, all of it, by calling 315-487-2222. It's 315-487-2222. This 4 times. There you go. So big shout out to Cafe Kubal, as well as to Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, MON-FRI's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Honda City of Liverpool, Abacoles, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Millhouse Market, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, PB&J's Lunchbox, Progressive Dental, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, Lemoyne Dolphins, Mother's Cupboard, and Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. And, of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne Dolphins, Marywood Pacers, and Bryan and Stratton Syracuse Bobcats. So, with all of that being said, we're here with our special title game. We can't call it the SB. We can't call it what rhymes with Ooper-Ol, but we can call it the big game. We can call it the big nasty. We can call it the Festival of the Lion King if we want to call it that. But what we know is it's the Bengals and the Rams, and it's the most unlikely it's the most unlikely game we've seen in a long time. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's great. As I said before, I think that the pressure is on the Rams, even though it's a home game. Again, they've traded the future. They've mortgaged everything. They don't have draft picks for quite a few years. They got older guys. They got expensive contracts, and they weren't afraid to write some checks on the way, a la New York Yankees. And then you have Cincinnati, who no one expected them to be here but themselves. Ask Joe Burrow, ask Jamar Chase. These guys are playing with a lot of confidence, and all they know is to show up. They don't know that this is the biggest game of their lives, which it probably is. Ask Dan Marino. These things don't happen all the time. So you think that home game scenario would be advantage Rams, but again, I think it's advantage Bengals. They're just showing up and playing, and that's what they're doing, and I like that a lot.
I'm shopping a Super Bowl, I'm shopping the big game tickets right now, and I'm looking at it right now just for giggles. And if you sit in section, sweet mother, if you sit in section, let me see if I can pick this up and show this to you. I don't know if I can make this any bigger, but if you see on the computer here that if you look right here, section 500 is at the top of the arena, like section 507. $3,518 each to sit at the top of the stadium. Section 506, 3546. Let's see what else we got here. If you want to, so basically it's over $3,000, almost $4,000 to sit at the top of the stadium. Now, mind you, folks, there's 100, 200, 300, 400. What's available is 500. That's the top of the bowl here. That's the top of what we're seeing going on at the stadium. And these tickets, the cheapest I'm seeing is $3,500, and it goes up from there to sit in the same section, section 543, $3,811 each. So if you want to sit in nosebleed section, you want to touch the blimp that's going to be flying over, you want to somehow hitch a ride with the air fighters that are going to go flying over the stadium at the beginning of the game, well, you can pay $3,800 for not only your seat, but the hope that they'll throw you a ladder and you can somehow be a part of the pregame show.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it at the best seat in the whole place, and that's in my living room with my dad like I always watch the Super Bowl. This is this is an institution in this country. I think they should make the Monday after Super Bowl a holiday, because that's the number one day that people call in sick, is the Monday after the Super Bowl, because they overdid it. They went to the party, they lost track of time and space, and they were drinking and they were having a good time. Then all of a sudden they got to get up for work in the morning, and that's not a good pull for a lot of people. But it's a good time for everybody. A lot of people who may not follow football enjoy watching it for the commercials and, being a part of the spectacle and being a part of people's lives who are into football. So that's what I dig about the Super Bowl every year. It's the biggest thing all year sports wise, I think.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's such, and I agree with you, and I've said that for a long time, that the day after, I think when I was running for president in high school and in college, one of my things was to make Monday, I think it was in high school, to make Monday the day after the big game to be a day off. Because listen, I mean, it's the same thing with the opening round of March Madness. When there's games from noon until midnight, nobody should be going to school. This shouldn't be happening. We should be relaxing and enjoying all the games. So I do believe Monday should be. And the thing is like, what boss at this point in all of these years and 50 plus Super Bowls, what boss is going, yeah, oh, your cat died? This is your 9th cat. So they die every year, same day? Oh, okay. No, it's your grandma? How many grandmothers do you have? 6? Wow, that's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you get to, I mean, there's no boss in America that has a brain that's going, yeah, okay. Now, to the person that actually doesn't feel good, to the person that does have an emergency, that in and of itself, because the boss is like, yeah, okay, whatever. But the reality of it all is we should have a day off. Who hasn't taken any days off? Cincinnati and Los Angeles, the Rams. Now, looking at Cincinnati's road to get here, they defeated the Raiders who barely got in with 2 seconds left in overtime, almost screwed over the Steelers, didn't let their compatriots of the AFC West in the Chargers, the other LA team. And so the Raiders lose that game 26-19. Cincinnati takes care of business. Then Cincinnati has to go through the number 1 seed in the AFC, and they take down Tennessee 19-16 in a closely contested game. Then they closely contest the Chiefs 27-24. Mind you, they played 2 out of these 3 games on the road. They beat the team that's made it to the title game 2 years in a row and won one of them. And they beat the team that was at the top of the AFC. So the Bengals' road to get here is no slouch. You can't say how they say and say, oh, well, this team lost and then this team, so they kind of set you up and like you didn't have to play. No, they had to play the best of the best, and they somehow found a way to gut it out, defeat them, do it on the road, take down national champions, take down number 1 seeds, and take down a team like the Raiders that had nothing to lose. The Cincinnati Bengals earned their keep, and this road to get here was not easy by any stretch. Who wants to go through the Titans and the Chiefs? And they did both.
Yeah, I have a feeling that when you get in a huddle with Joe Burrow, he has a calmness about him. They call him Joe Cool at times. This is a guy who, this could be a thing where we're watching on, NFL films later on. Okay, we got in a huddle. And you remember when Philadelphia was in the Super Bowl in Jacksonville and Donovan and Terrell Owens was playing on a broken fibia, and Donovan McNabb was throwing up in the huddle, and Terrell was looking at him like, you got to be kidding me, bro. The biggest game of all of our lives, biggest stage in the world, and you're puking in the huddle because of your nerves. I don't see that happening with Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is going to look around the rest of that huddle and say, well, okay, I got Jamar Chase. Game over. Okay, well, maybe Jalen's going to actually cover him well on this play. I still got T. Higgins. I still got Tyler Boyd. C.J. Uzomah is probably going to make the game. Oh, and don't forget Joe Mixon. So, I mean, this isn't a team that, is so surprised everyone that they don't deserve to be there. Don't confuse what I'm saying. They have earned every bit of getting here. It's just no one expected that. But now you look around that huddle, and I might expect them to do something in this game. Like I said before, especially if it's a close game in the 4th quarter. The Bengals know how to finish, unlike the Rams.
Yeah, and that's something that we've talked. Bengals know what they're doing. And, I mean, it's not that the Rams don't know what they're doing, but the Rams have barely found a way, barely gutted it out, where the Bengals are the type of team where if you're in a shootout at the end of the game, they just did a shootout with the Chiefs. I don't know if there's a better shootout team out there. So, I mean, to me, yeah, Tom Brady and the Bucs and what they've been able to. By the way, Joe Theismann was 1,000% right on my show. He said, I don't think he's done. He's still got to think about it. He's still going to. And here we are with Tom Brady. The media said he was done. Then he said he didn't know. Then he said he was done. Now he said never say never. So either he's quoting Justin Bieber or he's coming back. So, I mean, the reality of it all to me is Joe Theismann was right, and Brady will be back. He'll continue to terrorize the rest of the NFL. So, I mean, that's and then Gronk will be back, and then everybody else will find ways to pay for stuff and be a part of the team again and whatnot. So we'll make sure that it all works out and gets right. But we're in a situation right now where we where we are looking at how these teams got here and what they had to do to get here, and seeing the Bengals go through what I would argue, and I understand Tom Brady's the GOAT, but what I would argue with the Chiefs being the best team at no gut it out and just go back and forth with you for the Bengals to win and to get out of there. It was that high pressure, high octane situation. We felt it with Brady and Belichick when he was with the Patriots. You feel it with the Bucks, but maybe not the same. But with the Chiefs, it's like if you're winning, you could be up by 20. I mean, ask the Chiefs with what's gone on and what they've been through. I mean, look at how they've had to survive and how they've had to gut things out and how they've had to win. The situations that the Chiefs have put themselves in to come down the wire has been incredible. It's been insane. And the Bengals found a way to beat a team that looked like they were unbeatable at the end of the game. So for the Rams, they barely get by. For the Bengals, it's almost like they get amped up when you're like, yeah, you can't hang with us. So I just, if it's the end of the game and it's 20s and it's 28, whatever it may be, if this game is locked at the end, listen, Matt Stafford, I respect you. I want you to get that ring, but I'm flying with Joe Burrow if it's tied at the end of the game.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, but
we just lost Mike here again. We're going to try and get Mike back on the broadcast here. So as we await getting Mike back here, we're Sports Meets Life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We want to remind you that you're watching and listening to the Wildcat Sports Pub's Fantasy Football Power Hour that they present here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We appreciate you hanging out with us inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios as well. And we're talking here about the title game as the Bengals get set to face off against the Rams in what some would consider one of the most unlikely Super Bowls that we have seen in recent history, if not the most unlikely we have seen. So, the Chiefs were a team that people didn't anticipate or expect to get there, and we saw them get there. Then I don't think anybody expected. Marvin Lewis was notorious for getting to the playoffs but not winning a game in the playoffs. So he would get there, but he wouldn't get there. And now we're seeing a team that has found a way under Zach Taylor to move forward. And then with the Rams, Sean McVay, this is the second time he's done it. He's younger than me. He's I think he's a few months probably younger than me. And to see what he's done with this team has been incredible. So to see that and to see where we're at right now, you got Zach Taylor and Sean McVay, two coaches that I don't think anybody had on their coach of the year. I don't think anybody thought Zach Taylor was going to be there. And I don't think anybody thought Sean McVay was going to do it as young as he has. So, because a lot of the coaches aren't getting hired at, whatever it was at the point, 32, 33 years old. So the reality of it all is the man's in his early 30s and he's been to one title game. Now he's going to a second one. Some people have never done it in a lifetime. And then Zach Taylor is a guy who took, like I said, a Marvin Lewis team that was always they were the equator line. Andy Dalton was the equator quarterback. The team was the equator line. They would get to the playoffs, never win a game. So, you got Matt Stafford had never won a game, and you had the Bengals have not won in forever, and now they get to go up against each other. Historically, this is a beautiful moment for all sports, not just the NFL, not just for football, because you have Joe Burrow proving that he's a number one pick that can get it done in the NFL and can translate. Matt Stafford's finally winning a playoff game, and now he's got a chance in the same season as winning his first playoff game to win a championship. The Rams mortgaged their future of multiple years for Matt Stafford and company, Jalen Ramsey and all that. And then you see the Bengals just stunk enough that they could draft well. It's two teams that found a way to get there. One team was really bad, so they got really good picks. Another team traded all their really good picks away to get good. So It's two different ways of doing it, but however you look at it, whether you're moneyballing this thing or doing it the traditional way, they've both made it here on very different roads, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I spoke of the Bengals before, and I'll just speak on the Rams real quick here. Don't dismiss the Rams at all. I mean, Cooper Kupp, he hit the triple crown this year. Basically, he led the league in receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and receptions. And then Van Jefferson is always a threat to take one deep. He stretches the field. He makes those things possible underneath for Higbee and a Cooper Kupp. Oh, and Robert Woods, but Robert Woods was hurt. Yeah, well, Odell Beckham. Watch for Odell Beckham to make up for all the past couple years of questions, of concern. Watch him make one of those one-handed grabs at the corner or on the pylon. Watch for him to make an impact play in this game. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Big-time players making big-time plays in big-time games. You got Cam Akers back, fresh now from that injury. Sony Michel did a wonderful job filling in there as well. So they don't just have the defensive playmakers. They got some guys on offense. Oh, and Matt Stafford's been very proficient in the postseason here. So this is a team that's built for this. It's kind of like the Lightning at one point where they were, kind of squeezing everything they could out of the salary cap, and then maybe the Bengals are like the Tampa Bay Rays, who just seem to get young talent, but can't afford to sign any big players, and they're both meeting in a title game somehow. So a couple different schools, a couple different avenues to get here, as you said, but I'm not just dismissing the Rams here by any means. I think it's going to be an excellent game by both teams. Could be a blowout, but when we say that, it's not. Could be a high-scoring game. Could be a 70-point game. We say that, and it's usually not. It'll be 9-6 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look forward to a good game. I'm really anticipating a score fest here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun for the fans. That's what I think it's going to be ultimately. For my third grade teacher, Mrs. Kuno, I'm so excited for her. 1989 was the last time. It was 33 years ago. So third grade teacher, and on the three is 33, and I'm just a little bit above 33 at 36. So it's really cool that she gets to celebrate this. We get to kind of have fun with the number 3, and Mrs. Kuno gets to see her team make it. She named her little Scotty Boomer. And back then the Bengals were so bad that she promised us that we wouldn't have homework on the days that the weeks that the Bengals won, we wouldn't have homework. It happened maybe 2 or 3 times the entire year that I was in third grade. So she knew what she was doing. She's a smart lady, and big ups to her. But, she's waited such a long time for that. And then my longtime and resident Central New York Lions fan, Johnny Roberts, is such a huge, huge fan of Matty Stafford. And so for him to be able to see it, it's bittersweet for him, but it's still cool. I think in a way, Johnny can have peace knowing that Matt Stafford's there. So, I mean, to me, it's great. To me, it's a fantastic game. It's going to be a great game to watch. And I'm so excited for it because of how unlikely it is. And when you say it's unlikely, you say the teams wise, they weren't anticipated to be there. And maybe the Rams, right? There was a time where the Rams were hot, and we know that they were mortgaging to do that. But there was a time where we thought, okay, maybe it's Green Bay, maybe it's Dallas, maybe it's the Bucs again. On the other side for Cincinnati, I don't think anybody thought that, except for themselves. So when we see these two teams make it here and get to this point, and we say it's an unlikely title game, that's not saying it's not talented. Jamar Chase is a rookie, and he's insanely amazing. And I said that they should draft him. And I know some people are like, no, they should draft somebody else. They should get a lineman. No. You draft the weapon that Joe Burrow had when he won a championship with LSU. You draft him a guy who doesn't need to learn the playbook because he knows Joe well enough to go, okay, whether or not you know this play, if you somehow botch it, I'll find you. So Jamar Chase and having that relationship cannot go understated. You look at the fact of T. Higgins and what he's doing in Clemson, and he's a champion. You look at Joe Mixon and his durability for the most part, and what he's been able to do. There's a lot of great stuff that's happened there offensively for Cincinnati. Then you go to the Rams and you say, okay, well, this team hasn't, maybe they shocked some people that they got here because Green Bay didn't get here because, San Fran pushed them to the brink. But at the same, the Bucks aren't here. But at the same time, you have Aaron Donald, you have Jalen Ramsey, you have Matt Stafford, you have the best wide receiver in football in Cooper Kupp. So as unlikely as the teams are, the players on these teams are all-stars. And that's the thing that I think is kind of unique to the whole story, is there's some really, really, really good young talent, and there's some really awesome vets that just so happen to be on two teams that people went, yeah, okay, Rams, Bengals. I'll give you whatever you want for that, because it's never going to happen. I want to know how many people had to mortgage their house to get things right with the fact that they told somebody this would never happen.
Yeah, well, everybody expected the Chiefs and the Bucks, or or one of those two teams, and that's a smart pick. And I was one of those people who was forecasting that. But again, it's both teams deserving of being there, both coaches doing a good job. The one thing that interests me is I did notice in the NFC Championship that Sean McVay seemed to be almost micromanaging. To flashback, he had one instant replay challenge all year, but he had two in this last game, and he was almost gripping. He was almost, you could almost see it in his eyes when you looked at him on the sideline. And as the score, as they were starting to get closer and closer and closer in that game, he almost gave that up. And his players wouldn't let that happen. They didn't let that happen. So I just found that it would be interesting to see if there's any severe coaching situation, because both of these guys are young. Both of these guys are talented. Both of these guys have been highly successful so far. But like I said, I did notice it looked a little bit different, Sean McVay's posture, or whatever you want to call it, on the sideline.
Why does Sean McVay seemingly look uncomfortable and make the most horrible decisions on the biggest stage? Do the nerves that you talk about, Donovan McNabb throwing up in the huddle, does Sean McVay's nerves get to him at a point where we still don't understand the not playing Gurley when he was totally ready to go? And then here we are when he throws a challenge flag and you've already used a timeout. Now you're giving up another timeout late in the game. It looks like when push comes to shove, McVay gets rattled by the moment.
Well, there's been a lot of anticipation. He's been the kid who every day goes up to his mom starting on January 1st. How many days till Christmas? January 2nd. How many days till Christmas? January 3rd. How many days till Christmas? And then they get the chance to go see Santa at the mall. There used to be malls, people, the place you'd congregate and go to retail stores and stuff all in one stop.
Yeah.
They didn't bring it to your house. You had to go get it. But you go to the mall, you go to see Santa, and you've been counting this day down, and now's your big moment, and you're going to get to tell Santa about that Red Ryder BB gun that you want, and you get up there, and you freak out, you puke on yourself, and you start crying. That's kind of what I think might have happened to Sean McVay. Now, hopefully he's over that part. And, I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading the situation. It's just from the outside looking in, it looks like you're right. Maybe he was gripping a little bit. Maybe he was micromanaging a bit. But, maybe these are things that have been successful for him in the past. It wasn't a good look on that stage. So maybe, just maybe, it'll look better for him this big game here.
Yeah. They can find a way to calm down and to play with them. This is the thing. Cincinnati is the house money, as we talked about. The Rams, McVay is over there. Let me get my cards out here. Let me make this real. Let me get my Uno cards out. But, McVay's over there going, all right, I got a 5, I got a 1. I'll stay. where you got the Bengals out there going, I got a 9, a 7, and a 4. I'm playing. So the reality of it all is that they are willing to go after it. They're the ones having the random person they don't know come over and blow on the dice when they throw them. They're out there having a great time with this. They're wearing a fedora. They got somebody's lay on and whatever. They're meeting people from all over the country saying, hey, come sit with me. Let me rub your lucky head. That's Cincinnati. The Rams are going, I'm gonna put $10 on on black, and it's like, sir, you're not at the roulette table, you're in the bathroom. Oh, okay. And he's trying to play it on the checkered square on the floor. Like that's the Rams right now. And I'm not saying that they're not capable, but I'm saying the Rams have almost blown it, where Cincinnati, granted, against the Chiefs, they almost blew it too, but the Rams are sitting here as the team that has mortgaged their entire future for years. I think it's 2024 or something ridiculous. They have mortgaged 2023, 2024. They've mortgaged their future to win this year and next year. The Bengals are doing this with young cats. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, young. So they have the opportunity to ride this thing out and roll and roll and roll and roll. They used the draft picks to go and get the talent, and they scored big because their scouts were smart as heck. Jacksonville, take notes. The Rams had to go pay for somebody else's scouted players. That's the difference. The Rams have to win now. The Bengals are setting themselves up for the future and can also win now.
Well, yes and no. The sad thing here is a lot of times if you lose the Super Bowl, you don't make it back. Sometimes you don't make it to the playoffs. That's a notorious stat. You can look that up. Teams that have lost the Super Bowl, how did they do the following year? So who did Tom Brady beat in the last Super Bowl?
Right.
Yeah. Where are these Super Bowl dynasty teams that are supposed to be dynasties? You know, the Chiefs are supposed to be a dynasty. The Rams are set up to be a dynasty. But you got to wonder, win, lose, or draw, you know, what's going to happen with some of these older players on the Rams, whereas Cincinnati has all this youth. I think Cincinnati can only get better with time, whereas the Rams may have some question marks due to age, due to availability, because when you get older, you don't heal as quickly. And sometimes you break things or have physical problems that a younger player may not have. So you got to wonder which one of these teams is going to lose and maybe disappear for a little while next year.
Well, that's the thing, and that obviously is part of it. My argument is the fact that Cincinnati has more time, arguably. Not that they will get back, and I know how hard it is to get back, but it's that the Rams can't afford, especially with Jalen Ramsey in the locker room. You lose the title game, that man's going to lose his mind. He's already lost his mind.
I'm almost looking forward to it.
You what?
I'm almost looking forward to it. Like, I can't wait to see that meltdown.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is you almost, because you know the camera. Okay, when ESPN does the games, I'm convinced that there's a sky cam, a field cam, an end zone cam, and a Ramsey cam, because they're always
smart.
I can't even. What? Yeah. Stop my foot. Like, I mean, it's like, I mean, they to see him act like a child. And on Twitter, he's quoting Bible passages. Jesus loves me. I will be okay. And on the field, he looks like someone who took the last chocolate chip cookie before he got to recess. I mean, it's just, I don't know which one is him. Maybe both. But the Jalen Ramsey craziness, if they lose, then all of a sudden Matt Stafford sucks. You know what I mean? And that's and I dealt with that. I said he likes Blake Bortles now, but wait until Blake Bortles loses. And when Blake Bortles lost, he's not my quarterback. I mean, it was such an easy switch. It's an easy transition. Jalen Ramsey and this team, you have Odell, who's a free agent after this year. You got Jalen Ramsey, who's a head case. You got Aaron Donald, who knows dang well that he deserves to be there. You got Matt Stafford trying to figure this out. You got Sean McVay, who, if he somehow botches this one, then people are going, okay, is he ready for the moment? So Zach Taylor wasn't a household name before this year. Joe Burrow, people went, maybe he'll translate. Maybe he's a Ryan Leaf. Maybe he's a Jared Goff. Maybe he's a Carson Wentz. Who knows? And then Jamar Chase, well, they shouldn't have drafted him. They should have really gone for somebody else. They should have gone for a need and not just a want. And so, you got two teams that are in different places in their trajectory. They both ended up in the same place, but I don't know about the head cases of Cincinnati. But you have Odell and Jalen Ramsey in the same locker room. I don't think I need to name any other people on the team. On a 53-man roster, having those two guys is enough to have, because you don't have two when you have them. You have about 47 personalities when you have them. So there's not 53 people in that locker room. There's 100. So like that's just how it is. And to where we go from here, I think the biggest thing, Mike, before we jump out of here is, who are the catalysts? In your opinion, who are the ones that determine this for you? Who are the X factor? These are the ones that you're like, because every title game has that player who did something that he didn't do the whole season, or somebody that botched something that he doesn't usually botch, or somebody that missed this, or somebody that made that, someone who's 20 of 20 for extra points and then misses the one to force overtime. Who are the catalysts for the Rams and the Bucks, or Rams and the Bengals? Pardon me. I was thinking about Tom Brady unretiring. My bad.
I think on offense for the Rams, it's going to be Odell Beckham. Like I said, I would be surprised if he didn't make some sort of big play or wasn't a part of some sort of big play on this big stage. That's what he does. I'm not dismissing Cooper Kupp or Van Jefferson or anybody, but I think he's the guy that is like that linchpin. He's the guy that you got to worry about, because Cooper Kupp's going to be Cooper Kupp. It's like playing Michael Jordan for him this year. What do? Do you double team him and make somebody else beat you? Or do you say, okay, Michael's going to put up 50, which is shut everybody else down and we'll win? So you got that decision to make. On the defense for the Rams, it's got to be Aaron Donald. I think he's going to make some sort of play somehow. He's going to tie up 3 blockers so Von Miller can get in there and make a sack or something like that. You're going to see Aaron Donald big on the stage. And then for the Bengals, I think it's going to be Jamar Chase. I think this is a guy who's ready for the big time. He seems to be making big time plays all the time. I think it's going to be close with him and Joe Burrow, but I think that matchup, that history together, like we've talked about, is going to come true. And on the defense, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Trey Hendrickson or Sam Hubbard was able to get to Matt Stafford and have an impact on the game. So basically, I'm very interested in a line play on both sides of the ball, and then each team's, has a big receiver that could step up.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this right now, and I'll get to one of the notes here, a couple notes here, something that kind of caught my eye, but I'll give my catalyst, my X factors. So for the Rams defensively, obviously, to me, it's Aaron Donald. I mean, I cover Pittsburgh. Aaron Donald's one of the greatest players to come out of the Pitt Panthers. So for me, it's got to be him. How he gets through what he does, doesn't give up. His motor's crazy. They showed him on the sideline. And I think that's a lost art, is pumping people up, right? Telling people, listen, you got to listen to me. This is, we got to figure this thing out. It's not every man for himself. We're a team. We got to fight together. If everybody's out there playing one on 11, we're going to lose this game. We're going to lose it big. So I think Aaron Donald is a catalyst for it. I would say Jalen Ramsey. I would say if he can control his emotions, keep his composure, stop with his personal vendettas, and just play a team sport, that's an X factor for me. Offensively, for the Rams, it's Matt Stafford. Never won a playoff game. Now he's won a couple. Never been to the title game. Where's he going to be? And I would also venture to say Sean McVay. Sean McVay is my bonus X factor of this. Did he learn from last time? I don't think he got out-coached more than he got nerved into whatever I don't think Bill Belichick out-coached him. I think he got spooked. I think it's kind of like in basketball when I would get a wide open layup and somebody would say, if I missed it, they would say he heard footsteps. I'm wondering if Sean McVay is hearing footsteps. I have. I'm not going to deny it. I have. And I'm not saying Sean McVay is not a good coach. I think he's an awesome coach. But the difference between good and great is when you get to this moment and you're playing the Patriots and both offenses are atrocious, but your offense is extremely powerful and you're not using your biggest weapon. It's like going into battle with a tank and using a BB gun to try and defeat the Nazis. It ain't going to work. So, for me, those are my catalysts on that side. On the other side, for the Bengals, I would say defensively, my catalyst for the Bengals would have to be. No, there's names on here of somebody that I covered before, in Jermaine Pratt. I would have to say that, I mean, ultimately, it's got to be on getting to Stafford and rattling him. So I'd probably say, for me, Sam Hubbard, DJ Reader, I'd have to maybe pick those guys. I'd have to pick the line because to me, Trey Hendrickson, like you mentioned, I think it's about getting to the quarterback. And I think it's about rattling Matt Stafford. Listen, this guy's had more miles on his tires, and he's not going to run out of the pocket that much more often than not. Now he'll run for 20 yards because I said that. But this is the reality of me. And so that's that side of it. On the other side of it, for the offensive side of the ball, I would have to say my catalyst would be everybody's looking at Jamar Chase. I would say CJ Uzomah and T. Higgins. Can they complement him? Can they be the X factor? How about this? T. Higgins has gone quiet. These games are the games where somebody wakes up. So could it be their wake-up call? Pun completely intended? Maybe. But I think that's what's got to show up. I think the defensive line for the Bengals, and I think the defensive line for the Bengals and also the secondary. I mean, we know Matt Stafford's going to beam it. Don't drop the ball. I think it comes down to, when you get those opportunities and, when Awuzie gets out there and Eli Apple, when you have these opportunities, understand that you have to silence them. If the Niners had done to the Rams what they could have done, the game would have been over. So I think, ultimately for me, I want to see more from the Bengals because their defense is not something I typically pay attention to. I pay attention to their offense. I'll be completely honest. I look at what they do offensively. So, I think those are my catalysts. And because people don't take the time to do this, I'm going to say special teams. My special teams catalyst, my X factors for this, these are your kickers and your punters. Your punters put you in a position, and Evan McPherson and Matt Gay have saved both of these teams for the Bengals and the Rams respectively in the playoffs. So I think it comes down to them and what they can do and how big they are for the moment. Evan McPherson got some cojones coming out there going, Burrow, how long we got to kick it? 52? We're moving ahead. You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said about that. And he's a Gator, so you know him well. But, yeah, so those would be my catalysts. I do want to make note, at the end of this season, Von Miller, Sony Michel, and Odell Beckham Jr., 3 notable unrestricted free agents for the Rams. Von Miller, his salary right now over $19 million. Michel's 2.4, and Odell Beckham's is 1.25, believe it or not. On the Bengals side of it, they're unrestricted free agents at the end of this season, notable unrestricted free agents at the end of the season. CJ Uzomah, who's been up and down, but I think he's been serviceable. He's due $6.1 million this season, and really that's it. Outside of Eli Apple as well at corner, they have a ton of free agents. But as far as guys, and Trey Flowers is not making that much money, but he's on there as well. So there's a few. There's not a ton. Again, it's a young team. So it's CJ Uzomah and Eli Apple from what I'm looking at right now. And safety Jesse Bates is going to be up as well, but he's making 1.2. So not anything crazy for Cincinnati. The Rams, it's 3 starters. And it's 3 guys that, you ask yourself the question, what's Odell going to do next? Sony Michel was never relevant in New England. Do we pay him and believe that he can continue to be when we have Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson? And then, Von Miller, do you spend $20 million to keep him? That's another question. So that's where we're at right now. Mike, I do want to let people know the line on this game is currently, well, first and foremost, the Rams are a 4.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 48.5. So what are your thoughts on the line, and what are your thoughts on the over-under?
Yeah, I think I like if I was gambling on this game, I would have to look at taking not only the Bengals plus the 4.5. I've seen it at cut down the 4 today, but 4.5. I would take the Bengals, and I may even put a little something on the money line with the Bengals at plus 165. In other words, for every 100 you bet, you get 165 back. Because I think the odds of that, in my mind's eye, I think that's the most likely outcome is a field goal game or a game where, Cincinnati could sneak this thing out. 48.5, I don't think that's a lot of points for a game like this. I think it could easily go over, but you know what happens when you say something like that? It's a 6-3. So, I think the over, I think the take the points in the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, for For me, I think ultimately with the Rams being a 4.5-point favorite,
That's a tough number.
it is. And it's it's a close call. And I think ultimately for me, are the Rams gonna cover that? I mean, are they gonna be able I think this game's gonna be very close. I would take the over on 48.5. I don't think that's enough points. I think we got to be 54 plus. We just got to ask the question, what do we have? T. Higgins over under 68.5 yards receiving. I think T. Higgins is going to be the X factor. I think if they win this championship game, it's going to rest on the fact that T. Higgins is going to have a game day. I think he's going to have, in my opinion, I think he'll be somewhere in the world of a couple touchdowns in this game. So that's where I see him. Do I think he's going to get at least 68.5 yards receiving? Yeah, I would say yes.
I would say yes as well, just because of the threat of having Jalen Ramsey shadowing, Jamar Chase. I don't think that's going to have a tremendous impact on the game, but it could have a tremendous income on somebody else in the game. And T. Higgins, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, I would have to go with that. T. Higgins is the catalyst, though, in my opinion. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on the other side, the biggest ones that come of note. We gave our offense, defense, and special teams. Mike, we'll do a fun thing coming up here, too, where we'll come up with wacky because people are betting on everything, we'll come up with some wacky stuff like we did before, so we'll make sure that we do that. But in the meantime, definitely appreciate you being here with me. A little vacation edition of this, but I wanted to make sure that we got out for the title game, Bengals, Rams. Final score of the game, and who are you picking?
Yeah, I'm going to go with I know I said that I think the game's going to go very much over. That would mean it's going to be in the 30s per se, but I think it could be just underneath that. I think it could be in the 50s. I'm going to take Cincinnati to win the game 27-24.
Okay.
That'll give us 51. That'll put the over and Cincinnati.
So you got Cincinnati. Let me make sure we write this down, sir. So Mike has Cincinnati 27-24. Okay. And mine, I'm going to go with my pick to win this game. I'm going with Cincinnati as well. I'm going to go with Cincinnati 31-28. That's going to be my score. So we both got them up there. I got the game ending with what? 59 points, and you have the game ending with 51. Yeah. So that's where we're at, and so that's how we're going to have it here. With that being said, the Wildcat Sports Pub proudly bringing you the Fantasy Football Power Hour every single Wednesday, typically between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Watch back this video, share it, and tell it to your friends on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Special thanks to Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon-Paz Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, the Millhouse Market, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, PB&J's Lunchbox, Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, Progressive Dental, Lemoyne Dolphins, Mother's Cupboard, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and of course a special thanks to our multimedia marketing partnerships, exclusive partnerships that we have with each. Lemoyne College, Marywood University, and Bryan and Stratton College in Syracuse. And if you go to WakeUpCallDT.com right now, as you can see, you will see everything up here as well as the schedule. You can listen to the show here when it goes live. You get the links to YouTube and Facebook that Mike and I are on. You can see that we are on Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple, and so on and so forth. To go back and listen, you can subscribe. And of course, here's all of our partners you can click on. And my college football playoff coverage, including my conversation with Nick Saban, Luke Fickell, and so on and so forth, is all here for you, as well as Delvin Cook's younger brother. You can check that out. And, of course, on the prowl, my conversations with the Jaguars as they finished up last season, my Bryan and Stratton partnership, as well as the partnership with Marywood University and the partnership with the Lemoyne Dolphins. And after everything goes up on our Podbean here, when we air the audio specials, you can see that they update themselves here, with Ren Baker being the latest one. And you can see down here all the information you need to know, as well as being a proud member of the Football Writers Association of America and the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. So with all of that being said, I hope you have a fantastic day. Stay safe and stay well. head out to the Wildcat, order from them, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, 315-487-2222. And for Mike and I, you can find us every single second on HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com for Mike, WakeUpCallDT.com for me, and together, Winning Fantasy Football on Facebook. Mike, as always, I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you, Dan. I appreciate you as well. Thanks a lot. I look forward to watching a great big game, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Talk to you soon.